down and I see the attacker.
What color?
Little pinky.
This is a story you're making up in your own head.
It's the truth.
I don't believe you. How's that?
You don't even want to see the truth.
You have to understand something. I am unsympathetic to you.
I'm sorry, but...
Then what did you do?
And then I look down and I see that there's a rope around my neck.
Correct. No. You know how stupid this is? How people make up these stories. What's wrong with you? Is not an answer. You're an idiot.
It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot more.
You're an idiot!
If we really had a justice system, Jussie Smollett would have to go on Judge Judy as a form of punishment. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to wearechange.org, and we have a lot of absolutely crazy news to get into, especially with what is happening geopolitically, as well as the latest decree by Dr. Fauci that I am even surprised about that he just ushered on the world stage. We're going to be getting into that, plus a lot more. But before we do, we wanted to remind you that the Jussie Smollett court hearing is still underway right now, as we have just officially found out that it was discredited CNN host Don Lemon, who likes to talk about black holes swallowing up airplanes, that was the one that was warning Jussie Smollett that the Chicago Police Department was not believing him during an ongoing investigation. This, as the two, of course, were besties. This, as many people are raising the alarms that there might be more firings at CNN after this alleged misconduct and misuse of official CNN resources, as of course Don Lemon on a separate occasion is also facing some very serious allegations of touching people inappropriately without their consent. What's going to happen to CNN? Who knows? But during this important court proceeding of Jussie Smollett that fooled the nation, while of course extremely race baiting for political purposes, the prosecutors in this case have a slurry of documents, photos, videos, and evidence that they are presenting, while of course the defense in this case, Jussie Smollett, is arguing that he is gay. Literally, that's their defense. And it's not a defense. And we have to understand, with this larger case ongoing, corporate media collusion is essentially the norm with extremely powerful people in Hollywood, in entertainment, and of course also in politics. As yet another disgraced CNN anchor, Oliver Darcy, just admitted that senior White House officials in the Biden administration have been holding meetings and briefings with major news organizations trying to, quote, reshape economic coverage, making, of course, online commentator Glenn Greenwald to say, quote, media corporations meeting in secret with White House officials to discuss how to present a more optimistic view of Biden's economic policies seem to me to be a bit like ... state TV. But I'm glad and unsurprised to hear from CNN that the conversations have been productive, as of course recently and for the last few months the corporate media has been doing everything in their power to prevent the people of this country to truly finding out how much they're getting screwed over by the ruling establishment, as of course we are currently undergoing one of the largest transfers of wealth in recorded human history, from the poor and middle class to the uber 0.01% class, the billionaire class that of course is recording record profits, while of course everyone else is getting screwed. That's something that of course the billionaires that profit off of this situation want to hide from the general public, because, you know, if you're stealing from someone, you don't want them finding out that you're stealing from them. And that's why when you read the corporate press, you are literally reading carefully curated psychological talking points to convince you that the people hurting you are somehow your friends. They're not. And while totally obfuscating the true reality of our economic system, the corporate media is also sending out a slurry of divisive, nonsensical, idiotic issues that, of course, people are debating about, arguing about, that predominantly, I believe, are a waste of time and distract you from seeing the true reality of what's happening in this world, which is, of course, how the corporate elite love to have you. Now, another issue that is significantly getting underplayed is, of course, the larger geopolitical situation between Russia and the United States that right now is at a standoff in Ukraine, as of course both countries are saber-rattling, pushing their military closer to each other, and creating a situation that could be very hostile for a large portion of the world. This as Ukraine just celebrated Army Day and showed off their latest military hardware that was provided to them by the United States. As of course Ukraine is vowing to fight Russia at all costs, Biden is warning the president of Russia that he's going to be sending more troops to that specific region, as of course there already has been a massive buildup on the Russian borders, as Russia is officially responding, saying that they want legal guarantees that Ukraine will never join NATO or become a base for weapons that can threaten its country, or that they will have to go in themselves and guarantee it. This, of course, is a very tense situation. How will it unfold? Well, of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye on it, as, of course, there's a big potential for another proxy war between Russia and the United States to unfold like previously unfolded in Syria or in Yemen. And with the military-industrial complex beating the drums of war and setting to, of course, profit massively off of this as the Biden administration has been extremely aggressive against Russia, with even the president of the United States name-calling the president of Russia a murderer. This after then a few days when Joe Biden decided to launch an airstrike on aid workers, killing 7 children. This as Biden apparently also forgot to switch his microphone on during the start of this conversation between these two world leaders. And again, one thing that we can only hope for here is diplomacy, intelligent geopolitical strategy, and hopefully some peace. And when competent leaders matter the most during these very troubling times, I, of course, don't have any hope in this administration, but I do have hope in LukeUncensored.com, our very own platform where we get to do and discuss whatever we want, our own online digital cult or secret society, whatever you may call it. Sorry here, I had to lead to a very hard segue, but I'm going to be doing yet another video on our very own platform later on today where I will be specifically talking about the latest Elon Musk comments about saving civilization by having more children, as of course the World Economic Forum is warning that there's too many people in this world. What's really going on here? What's the greater context that we need to understand? Well, we're going to be discussing that plus a lot more later on today on LukeUncensored.com, and I hope to see most of you people there. As of course, we're also going to be divvying out some really interesting advice. Now, very interestingly, our Lord and Savior who preaches gospel with every word that comes out of his little beady face has just announced that this latest variant that, of course, the corporate media was fear-mongering about, that, of course, everyone was screaming about, pushing, of course, more trauma-based mind control, is, according to Dr. Fauci, quote, almost certainly not more severe than Delta, a previous variant that, of course, everyone was fear-mongering about. This as, of course, early data coming out of South Africa, where this variant was allegedly first discovered, shows that most of the people that are infected by this generally go through very mild cases. Many of them don't even know that they have it. As, of course, many scientists have been saying that this is one of the most quote, infectious variant of this particular sickness that has the most amount of potential to evade the procedures that the establishment wants everyone to take. What was the establishment's response to this news? Well, we're going to have to get everyone inoculated with this procedure. And again, it was a totally nonsensical response by many governments around the world. And with this latest news coming out even by Dr. Fauci, as of course many of us, especially if you tuned into LukeUncensored.com, saw the preliminary data and knew this way beforehand. Even on LukeUncensored.com, we talked about how this could be a variant of the sickness that could potentially end it forever. This, of course, was a theory also espoused by people like Brett Weinstein, and now even The Telegraph is reporting that Norwegian health experts are coming out and saying that this variant is, quote, the best scenario for natural immunity, as it's showing that it is also very mild and very transmissible, meaning that people could build up immunity naturally from this without getting seriously sick, without overflooding the medical system, and it could bring an end to this total nightmare that, according to my own personal opinion, the government made worse every step of the way. Now, when we have Norway's state epidemiologist, Frode Forland, along with even the CEO of South Africa's largest private healthcare network, saying this, along with the sentiments by Dr. Fauci, this could finally signal the end for the government's excuse to take away your economic mobility, to take away your civil liberties and your human rights. This is big news and totally the opposite of what the corporate media and many politicians said would happen here. As of course, if you remember, there was a lot of people saying there's so many mutations, it's going to be really bad, it's going to be really horrible. And, of course, none of it has sufficed. And now that we know this, the government should stop everything that they did in the name of this new variant. They should reverse it immediately, especially the things that violate human rights, especially the things that discriminate and segregate our population. And will they? Well, they better, but obviously understanding governments, they rarely ever historically give up the emergency powers that they grant themselves in times of tragedy. Now again, even one of the first people that got this variant, a 30-year-old man that, by the way, was triple compliant with the procedure that the establishment wants him to take. He had a third procedure in November, got this particular sickness with this particular variant, and now he says he feels fine. And some people are even calling him a superhero, which I don't know if that's granted. But hey, man, whatever. But of course, his breakthrough case is not uncommon, as even Newsweek is reporting that nearly 70 triple compliant hospital workers who have taken 3 procedures all have tested positive for this sickness after sharing a Christmas meal. This, as of course many people who have complied, have taken this procedure, are the ones who are first getting sick from this new particular variant, according to the first preliminary corporate media reportings on it. And what's happening here should be understood, and it is understood by a lot of medical professionals whose words are falling on deaf ears to many politicians that are still trying to exploit this tragedy for their own personal political power, as Austria just announced that they have lifted lockdowns, but only for people that have complied and taken a procedure that the government wants them to take and have gotten their papers in order. The people who haven't complied, well, they're supposedly told to stay under domestic house arrest, as of course the Austrian government even plans on fining people or arresting them for not complying enough and not taking the procedure, even if they're at home isolated from the general public. A lot of these policies are nonsensical. They're absolutely not scientific at all and have been questioned by many medical professionals as being absolutely absurd. Canada just announced that professional athletes will not be able to play unless they're compliant with their demands of their government, as they implement new mandates that the United States is also planning to implement domestically in the United States, which of course have been turned down now by 2 federal judges, as of course still here there is some kind of semblance of law and order and being able to debate and make the proper decisions that actually do help the people, rather than, of course, blanket, generalized, discriminatory, segregative policies that forced police officers to arrest, hurt, fine, and steal money from innocent law-abiding citizens, like in Florida, where because of the political leadership in that country, discrimination has been outlawed, and now the hospital systems are allowed to work with their full staff members without the threat of them being fired because of some of these decrees. This, as of course many politicians like Nancy Pelosi and others haven't been listening to their own rules and decrees that they have called on for everyone else. This, as even in the United Kingdom, an An MP who said that she felt unsafe around people who didn't mask was pictured partying maskless herself. What do you call a hypocrite that could never keep a promise or his word? A politician. That's my own perspective. What's your definition? Let me know down in the comment section below. I always appreciate your constructive criticism, your feedback, your comments, and just your time. I seriously am very grateful and can't be humbled enough that you are willing to spend the time with me today. It means the world to me, and because you do, I have this incredible job. I have this incredible opportunity to be able to research and study what I love and present you that information. And because you do that, and because you share this video, this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. I got one more video coming your way on LukeUncensored.com and a lot more, of course, on wearechange.org.